go. Good morning. I am coming to you from the great Hilton Garden Hotel. This is Larry H. Gardner, G Productions, the headline Eye on Nerve DJs, and everything points east-west. As far as I'm doing a remote interview, hopefully with the next Secretary of State of Ohio, Miss Chelsea Clark. So I'm going to ask her questions. And if you are up around this time, I know it's a little bit early, so make sure that you check this out on the YouTube channel and also on the headline Eye on Nerve DJ. So I'm going to go and turn this around to Miss Chelsea Clark. How you doing today, Chelsea?
I'm doing very well. How are you?
I'm fine. So my first question is that why do you want to run for Ohio Secretary of State?
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, first of all, for having me. It feels good to be up here again. Your weather's very similar to ours, despite the fact we're on opposite ends of the state. And it feels good to be in some brown country as well. That's my dad would be very, very excited about that. But public service has been a staple in my life, and breaking down barriers for Ohio families has been a part of my life since even before college. I am a sixth-generation farmer. I'm a councilwoman in Greater Cincinnati in a city called Forest Park. I am a business owner, and I'm a single mom of two. And quite frankly, our democracy, at least as we know it, is absolutely under attack. It's under attack by short-sighted, self-serving politicians and folks that are trying to stop our access to the ballot box. I had a particular situation last year. I'm a precinct exec and I help work the polls and get folks registered. And we were in line. A lot of lines across the state were very long, and they didn't need to be. And this one particularly elderly lady, her name was Miss Pearl, got to talking with her. She had been part of the Voting Rights Act of the 60s. And she was telling me about that. And I said, well, how do you feel about what's happening now in 2020? And she said, I'm just sick. She said, I'm sick of what is happening and I'm tired. And, when we look at that, it is absolutely unconscionable that we've got folks that are elderly that are standing in lines, quarter mile long, or anyone that's standing in those types of lines, or, folks in rural parts of of our counties that are driving over an hour and a half just to drop off the ballot box or drop off their ballot to a ballot box. I'm running because people like that and folks that are having it difficult, they shouldn't have to be activists their entire lives for a birthright. And it is time that SOS office be responsive and making sure that everyone in the state has a fair access and that we have efficiency at that ballot box.
Okay. So the redistrict, what do you think about the redistricting that's going on right now?
Oh, goodness. A lot to be said about it, unfortunately, and not good things. I think that they've lacked transparency in their process. We only had one, which was Senator Sykes, that actually attended all the meetings. That tells you the level of importance that the commissioners had when it came to it. We've now got 3 lawsuits that have been filed, rightly so, because they've missed the mark when it comes to, yes, of course, they made them contiguous and, they did go off census in terms of size population, but there's more to it than that. Making sure that those entities that are in these districts have the same reflection in, demographics and political interest is extremely important. Making sure that they don't, cross counties is very important because those folks have a certain line of thinking and certain concerns and things that matter to them, and they should have representation that, that represents that. And we should have competitive elections, not elections that are determined by their office holder. It should be determined by the people.
All right. So what do you do in Cincinnati as far as how long have you been in office?
Sure. I'm coming up on my second term. That we have 4-year terms. I'm a city councilwoman there. A lot of the work I've done there, as we talked about, breaking down barriers, is creating access for minority business owners, both women and veteran and minority alike, making sure that they have access to tools, resources, and capital so that they can not only, get ahead, but of course be sustainable. So I've brought an incubator to our city and also helped with, the passage of Metro, which is our largest expansion in public transportation services in southwestern Ohio. I'm a trustee on SORTA, that's the Regional Authority Board for Metro Services. And what that did was able to connect 30,000 folks to jobs that otherwise wouldn't have one. There's a lot of work I've done as well when it comes to STEM, that's science, tech, engineering, and math. So I'm a business owner of a STEM educational learning facility, because creating access for minorities and girls to access those, those higher paying jobs and those jobs that really will dictate our future is extremely important.
Okay. So how long you said how long have you been a city councilman in Cincinnati?
In 4 years. This is going in my second term.
What did you do before?
Before that, I was a community member. I was an educator in the school systems, and also a financial analyst. So once I graduated Miami University, I studied business and political science, got my bachelor's, then came down to Greater Cincinnati and operated as a financial analyst.
Are you from the Cincinnati area?
I'm not. I'm actually from rural Ohio, Allen County.
Really?
Which is yes. We've got some very precarious things that have come out of Allen County, but
Right.
yes, absolutely. But I am from the sticks, so outside of Lima, our closest city is Lima.
Okay.
If most people are familiar with that, so I'm a 6th generation farmer, as I mentioned.
So you're a farm girl.
I'm a farm girl, country girl. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. I can hunt and skin.
You can hunt. See, you hunt. The hunting is,
It's something that's got to be done. As
Right,
my daughter says, when you're taking those squirrels, when you're taking the hide off the squirrels, we go around and pull it up by their the top of their torso and down, and she calls it taking off its sweater and its pants.
No, wow. So pretty much, you can make a coat pretty much.
Absolutely. I mean, all takes pretty much like chicken, fishing, and all those things. Absolutely. And it's gonna be important, because a lot of Ohio is really rural, and we don't get a lot of representation when it comes to rural parts of Ohio, and making sure we can talk to those folks and engage them, and really wanting to fight not just for urban, but also rural. Ohio is going to be really critical.
So the thing is that what do you think about the gerrymandering that's going on right now?
Along the lines of redistricting, some legal gerrymandering going on. Obviously not supportive of the lines that they've drawn. They are going to go back. They are now being there's lawsuits now filed, and so what the court's determination are going to weigh heavily on the next steps. We're also waiting for our congressional maps. I don't believe that we're going to see many fair districts once we see these congressional maps, and so unfortunately we'll be left with 4-year maps that just will not meet what the voters demanded for the 2015 constitutional amendment. We said, over 70% of the state said, hey, we want fair districts. They didn't say that they didn't want to see competitive races. They said, go ahead and let's see, let's make it fair. Let the voters choose who they want to represent us. And unfortunately, the commission has not been engaging enough and not abided by that amendment.
Okay. So the thing about it is that you're running as a Democrat, correct?
Correct.
Okay. How do you get past Ohio is considered a red state, which is Republican. So how do you get the voters to swing on your side? What will be the pitch to those that, predominantly voted Republican in the past?
Yeah, so I've alluded to that a little bit, but one thing we've got to bear in mind is that this seat, unlike a lot of others, should be, die-heartedly nonpartisan in a sense, right? Because this person presides over the entire electorate of the state, making sure that everyone has access, not just, the few that you believe are going to be on your team or vote your direction. And so a lot of this work will be spent in rural Ohio, as I've mentioned, making sure that we've got those touch points and those engagements because, in a recent survey that was performed with the rural Ohio voters, we found that they agree with my plan in making sure that we've got multiple ballot boxes and we've, that we extend our voting days and hours. They agree with that. It makes it easier on them. I talked about them having to travel long distances. That's real. And that's a barrier to them exercising their fundamental rights as well. But then also in our urban areas, we've still got a lot of work to do. We got to get down on the ground.
Right.
We got to make sure we bring folks out. And I bring a lot of excitement, thankfully, to this ticket to be able to engage voters, to be able to engage younger folks and different folks throughout this state to come to the polls. So those two things are going to be very critical in this next election.
Yes, it is. Mm-hmm. So, your race is next year, and we have, a lot of we usually in Ohio, sometimes we have low voter turnout. How do you encourage the voters to not only vote, but vote for you? Absolutely.
Well, we are at a crossroads. When I said democracy is under attack, I meant that. And I think that, what we're getting across the state is exactly that feeling, right? This feeling of almost being battered and beaten politically, and we're tired. People have lost some hope in a system that has really tried to, that has said it's going to be equitable for everyone. And so that message of hope and being responsive as elected officials is going to prove very, very valuable. It's going to be important, getting out there and making sure that, that we've got a lot of different coalitions in small neighborhoods throughout this state is imperative. And that's what we're working on, and building those coalitions across the entire 88 is very, is very important. And the message is, this is quite frankly a vote or die. Everything starts at the ballot box. When we look at our communities and the lack and the economic blight and things like that, all that stems back to making sure that we are electing the right folks that can move the right dollars, that can build the right infrastructure. We've got a business community that's starving and hungry post-pandemic or mid-pandemic that we need to make sure that we can rebuild as well. And so all those things are going to be important factors, and those are going to be the messages.
Okay. So what made you, after being an analyst, financial analyst, what made you get into politics in the first place?
Oh, goodness. Well, like I said, I'm a mom. That can be a difficult career path for moms, unfortunately, sometimes, because it's demanding. And so
you have two children?
I have two. I've got a 15-year-old and a 13-year-old. Boy and girl. I know, right?
Teenagers.
And if you can do that, you can do anything, right?
Right, exactly.
So, this campaign's like, yeah, they talk about me, I got this, when you've got that situation. But, so yeah, that's been, in my first races, they are all supportive. Now they're like, oh, really, another meeting, Mom? And, but yeah, so worked in education, and honestly, you just kept seeing, seeing the disadvantages or seeing the gaps, if you will. And so I started the company in hopes to fill those gaps and be a pathway for kids to be our next green collar career professionals here in the state. We have a huge ag industry, so making sure that we help with that. And then when it came to my community, I was concerned. We're a predominantly African-American community, and we've got a lot of different ethnicities represented, and we're a real gem. And I didn't like the things and some of the, blighted properties and, the lack of community spaces and things that I was seeing in my community. I said, I want to get involved and do something. So prior to even being on council, I was a PTA president of the school district, making sure that, there were bridges and that we created a space for community and teachers and children. And then sat on the Economic Development Commission because I was concerned about the retention of businesses. And then I guess it was just evolutionary. It made sense to run for council.
Exactly.
And, I think a lot of times politicians can can get a bad rap, but I take public service extremely serious. Making sure that we can leverage our resources throughout a county to feed people. For instance, when COVID hit last year, we suffered, right? A lot of African American communities
Right.
across this state got
Exactly.
hit hard. It hit us hard health wise, and that was concerning. It hit us economically, and being the type of city we are, with also a significant elderly population, I said, okay, we've got to get our faith community together. Went and created partnerships with them in the restaurants, and submitted contracts to or completed a contract with Free Store Food Bank, and then we started passing out food. And we did that for almost 6 months in my community for a minimum of 500 folks every month. That's what public service can do, is activate those levers so that it makes it more equitable and inclusive, and you take care of your people.
Okay. We've seen between, there have been arguments, especially in the mayoral's race here in Cleveland, Ohio, between career politician and public servant. What do you lean to? Like, the thing is that career politician is somebody that does nothing and collects money from the taxpayers, rather than be public servant would be somebody that goes out with the people, walks with the people. How do you perceive yourself as?
Well, my career in breaking down barriers for Ohio families, whether that's even, fighting for wage rights, that was something I did in college on the university's campus, making sure, again, things are equitable, to even the things I did as a high schooler, and working with our community to make sure that African Americans were represented in education and academics, all the way through, what I've done recently with the Urban Learning Garden in Avondale. That is a staple project that we were able to do in a huge partnership, over $250,000 project, and adding fresh food with vegetables, right, and plants, and representing every career in horticulture on this little over an acre property at the school, and having a solar powered greenhouse that our kids get to engage with every single day. Those are community change agents. That is the public service that I've done. So, I'll let, folks dictate what they want to see or how they call a career politician or a public servant. But for me, I believe that my work is in servant leadership of my community, and that I'm responsive when they need me, they call me, and then I can facilitate, whatever it is that is needed, and, use whatever resources that I can possible to make, really good impacts and positive changes. So that's what I do.
Okay. So the race for Secretary of State is until 2022. So pretty much so you're hitting the ground running now, correct?
Absolutely. So launched July 7th.
Okay.
Launched July 7th.
Of this year?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What made you launch so early?
Well, it's obviously a strategy.
Right.
It matters. So we'd like to say early bird gets the worm. But it is just really important to come out first, and hopefully only, because, it's a serious matter. Like I said, we've got extreme attacks against our democracy that are ongoing and that are getting more and more virulent. So I knew exactly what it is I wanted to do, and did some political groundwork, and then was able to launch. Also making sure that we've got, building those coalitions. It takes some time, and also, putting money in the piggy bank.
Right, exactly.
That takes some time too, right?
I'll ask you about that later.
Exactly. So that's important, and so for those reasons, it made sense to do so early.
Okay. What the thing is that what was the final decision for you to run? I know you had a couple of things, or what was the final decision for you to run for Secretary of State?
I'd probably have to say, usually I don't get that question, the final thing.
Yes, the final thing.
There were so many things. It was like a crate challenge, let me tell you. It was the one thing.
Right, yes.
It was one thing after another. But it was, after we saw some of the things happening earlier this year with proposed legislations that was going to, further limit folks opportunity or access, it got even more concerning. And seeing what could be down the pike and what's really at stake, like you said, folks are dying.
Right.
We don't protect this our democracy and protect access and efficiency at the ballot box, then people are not going to be able to engage, and it's going to be a severe problem. So, really, just wanted to make sure that I was going to be that stopgap.
Okay. You
that
said
it called for.
Yeah, folks are dying, and unfortunately, it's like in the urban and rural areas. How do you balance, as Secretary of State, how would you balance those areas between urban and rural to make sure that everybody gets the same service if you are elected?
Absolutely. So a lot of that, for the Secretary of State, comes twofold, so to speak. One is you've got the elections arm, and then secondly, you also have business access or filings and registration. But really working with the BOEs or the boards of elections, and each respective county has their own, and making sure that their needs are being met based on the communities that they serve, and being responsive to them and as helpful to them as possible is going to be really critical. And then making sure that we've got an even better and robust business or entrepreneurship and infrastructure as well, so that we've got some one-stop shops and we have better, ways of connecting resources for folks out in the rural communities, just like urban areas who want to, who desire to start a business and have it be sustainable.
Mm-hmm. So your opponent is Frank LaRose, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So how would you, the governor's race is next year. So
We're all on the ticket.
all on the ticket.
We're all on the ticket.
So what do you think about Governor DeWine and when the pandemic hit, along with Dr. Amy Acton, pretty much shut down, had the massive shutdowns and things of that nature. And then all of a sudden when Dr. Acton was released from her position, and Governor DeWine opened everything back up. What did you think about those decisions?
I think that they're very difficult decisions to make, no matter what side of the aisle you're on. You're talking about people's lives and people's livelihoods. So those are very difficult positions to be in. I respect Dr. Acton. She studies science, and I respect people's expertise in science. I mean, I own a science tech engineering
right, exactly. So you got it.
Learning facility. So I'm very much in support of education and academically proven science. And so those things are all important, and I believe that they should lead and help dictate the safety of folks. No matter where they live, it's important.
Okay. So, and another thing, as far as what happened, now we still have pandemic cases and we still have people that do not want to take the vaccinations. What do you say to those people that are, on the fence or anti-vaxxers? What do you say to those folks?
I would say read, American Journal of Science. Go to your trusted sources. And most importantly, if you have a family physician or a general physician, then consult them and ask them questions. There's no question that's silly. There's no question that doesn't make sense. Figure out what is best for your household. For me and mine, it is being vaccinated, because I'm not only protecting myself and my family, but I'm protecting those around me that I love and care about. It is not I've known several folks, unfortunately, that have not made it through this pandemic because they've contracted COVID. It is real, it is serious, and it is deadly. And so we want people to stay alive. We want people to be able to live out the dreams and visions, not just for themselves, but we want to see our kids be healthy as well, and our institutions.
Okay. So another thing, if you wasn't doing politics, I know you own the science facility and everything and teaching, what is everybody got the credentials. What is a fun fact that people don't know about you, Ms. Clark?
I love to cook.
Really?
Listen. Okay, now.
Go ahead. Say it.
I love to cook. Now, it could be, and I'm a foodie. So I will go to a place and find out what's the best restaurant. I want the hole in the wall. I don't want some chain restaurant. I want the hole in the wall. that knows how to cook with, with love and passion and, yes, pork. That's what makes it good and flavorful. I am not a new age foodie. I love farm to table, and I like the long route, right? I can make my own roux and make my smothered gravy. It's a process, but it tastes so good and it's good for you. And, my family, we live well into our 80s, and so there ain't nothing wrong with it in moderation. But I absolutely enjoy cooking. I made an apple crisp last week, and I was so tickled. Made it from scratch. I put a little oatmeal in mine, though, and those are rolled oats. It's not with no disappointment.
I'm about to cry now because he's thinking about an apple crisp right now.
So delicious. Yes. So I love cooking. I love. I mean, if I'm gonna fry up some squirrel, then I certainly will. Do what y'all city slickers like to eat too. So I love to cook.
Ribs, chicken. And,
yes, my mom was like, Chelsea, I will pay for you to go to culinary school. Would you just please? I'm like, you know how hard it is to run a restaurant. Expensive, and I think I have better chances at becoming elected governor to running a restaurant. It's so hard. So I love to cook.
So you love to cook. I'm sure. And you got 2 teenagers, so I'm sure.
I do. I do. And my son, he's 15, but he's 5'11". I'm only 4'10". Mm-hmm. And so, yes, cooking is a testament. You see how big he got.
Right.
And and yes, I do. And so now that I'm in the campaign space, they're having to eat a little bit more fast food. And Ethan's like, Mama, can you make some beef and noodles? And they're kind of like, if you give me one more pizza. So, I love to cook.
They want mom's cooking. They don't want no fast food.
They do. They are kind of adamant.
You get time, hopefully, somebody will appreciate your cooking.
Absolutely.
So the thing about it is there another fun fact? You ain't been what was your dream job when you were a child?
Well, my first year in college, I was a performing arts major, so I thought I might be an actress. I thought for sure. And my daddy was like, "Oh, that's what you're doing in college, Chelsea? That's what you want to do? Okay, well." He was like, he just knew I was going to be a waitress trying to become an actress.
Right.
That didn't quite work. But yeah, probably an actress, probably.
Okay.
Yeah, loved musicals and theater.
You wouldn't star in Power. Power was you.
No. I'm gonna let Taraji do her thing, and I'm gonna do mine.
Okay, so no scandal or nothing like Jennifer. What was that?
Olivia Pope.
Olivia
Pope. Now her outfits. And I get to take off my boots from the garden. I like to get Olivia Pope dressed up, make me feel like I may be doing a little something.
Okay. So, all right, let's get to the meat and bones of everything. So, you're going to need volunteers. You're going to need. You have campaign people already that's on the ground for you.
Yes, we do. If you'd like to join the team in your respective area, you can go to chelseaforohio.com. That's CHELSEAFOR Ohio.com. And sign up on our newsletter, and we will reach out to you. We, it's really important getting those, what we kind of like call these small gatherings and of committed and caring folks, people that really care about, what's going to happen to their community and believe that they can affect change. So we definitely want you to reach out. You can also reach us at Deidre, it's DEIDRE at chelseaforohio.com. She's the fabulous campaign.
She's right over here. She don't want to be on camera right now, but she's been laughing the whole time.
She's amazing and wonderful, and she and the team work very hard to help coordinate those folks. Also, you can find us on all social media handles. They make fun of me because I call it Tweeter.
You mean Twitter?
I have been doing the Twitter thing. And I was like, the tweet thing. So I'm getting I'm trying to get better at it.
It's not like my mom when she said it, though.
Oh
It's
my
cool.
gosh. Oh my gosh. It's not easy. You know, I like the face-to-face with the people, but I'm working on it. And also on Facebook at Chelsea for Ohio.
So what about, so will you be doing any meet and greets or anything up here in Cleveland? We got voters up here.
You sure do. So we have one tonight, as a matter of fact, in Maple Heights at the Lanes.
At the Lanes?
Okay. At the Lanes.
What time is that?
6 p.m.
6 p.m.?
It was at 6 p.m. Please come out, support, come meet me, ask questions, bring your folks. You don't have to bring any food this time, so just bring yourself.
Okay.
You may need to bring your pocketbook just in case, though.
Okay. Will there be refreshments be served at the Lanes? Okay. Yeah. So 6 o'clock, 6 until when?
6 until 8. 6
until 8. Okay, so at the Lanes, that's the Lanes over there on in Maple Heights, and people know where the Lanes are.
Y'all know where the Lanes are.
All right, we know.
Now, I have to use GPS still, but I think y'all know where it is.
Okay. So, as a matter of fact, what is the one thing that you want to say to the voters out there? And even though your race is next year, along with a couple of, the governor's race. So what do you,
that governor's race.
Yeah. What do you want to say to the voters out there as far as what is the one message they want to get from you to vote for you?
It didn't work last time when we didn't show up and we didn't show out. It's extremely important that you exercise your right to vote. It is your right. It's fundamental. Please exercise it because, you having hope in this system is what's going to keep our democracy afloat. And responsive leadership is actually possible. We've got a new breed that's coming and we are ready and willing to serve you. So we do need your help. We need it early and we need it consistently. And you got to vote every time. Okay.
So this is probably not going to be the last time that me and Chelsea are going to interview. So we're probably going to do it some more. I probably had to come down to Cincinnati.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He's going to have to come down to the river.
I actually went to the
We'll baptize you in the river of chili and spaghetti.
I actually went to the University in Cincinnati for 2 years when I graduated from high school in 1993. So I know about Skyline a little bit.
And
so
the Bearcats are doing their thing. You gotta be pretty excited about
I am pretty excited. So I am. Listen, I'm all Ohio pretty much all the time. Any time Ohio State, Cincinnati, and a special place in the Bearcats. There was a club called Prime Time that I used to go to when I was.
I've heard about it.
Yeah, I was 19, experienced and everything. So yes, I do understand, but I will have to make a visit back to return to the Queen City and see about down there. The only time I root against Cincinnati is when we play the Browns and the Bengals. But any time, shout out to the Bengals yesterday for winning.
Right, we did our thing.
Yes, y'all did. Yes, you did.
Making believers one city at a time.
Right. So it is. So you're gonna be tonight at the Lanes from 6 to 8, correct?
Yes, sir.
How long are you gonna be in this area, in the Cleveland area?
We will be here until tomorrow evening.
Okay.
We've got some major, great events that you want to parade me around or folks that we need to meet, please reach out.
Okay. So hopefully you might see a couple of mayoral candidates. Any thoughts about what's going on in Cleveland right now as far as the mayor's race?
I'll tell you what, I know that I am extremely excited about it. I do believe that, whatever happens, whatever y'all decide to do next week is going to be a wonderful blueprint and an extremely helpful element for the 2022 election for the entire state. It's going to be centered on what happens and the support's going from that. So kudos to all to the two candidates and voters turn out and show your support. And I can't wait to see what happens. We're all waiting with bated breath.
Okay, that's what's up. So, Chelsea, thank you for coming. And you owe me an apple crisp.
Oh, man. Okay, and I make the caramel sauce.
See, that's why.
See? Now I can make the ice ice cream too, but you know,
you heard it here
I'll be in the
first. You heard
kitchen
it
all
here
day.
first. Yeah, you heard it here first. So I'm gonna get an apple crisp from and the thing about it is, I'm gonna be the judge to tell you what
Oh,
it
the judge and the jury.
Yeah.
Oh, I think we need a panel of like three.
Nah, we good. You're like, listen, I love food, so don't get me wrong. So I will. I'm gonna let you go. I got to make some runs. So anything you want to? So anything else you want to say before we get out of here?
No, thank you so much for having me. You know, I think everybody, you know, there's a reverberation of energy that's starting to well up, and people are starting to get excited again. We are tired of what we're seeing and people taking advantage of us and people thinking that they can single-handedly take away what is ours. And so it's time to fight back, and it's time to work together on a united front so we can change the outcome of Ohio on its third frontier. We can do this. Let's go, Buckeyes.
All right, thank you. That is Chelsea Clark. Shout out to Fatima Red, Sam Steele, Sean Howard, and Keith Allen for watching, along with everybody else that didn't tune in. This is Larry H. Gardner. This will be replayed on my YouTube channel. This also will be replayed on this Wednesday before I make the special picks for this upcoming elections. And hopefully next year we will have Chelsea Clark in the studio one time. And before that, I'm just going to try the apple crisp again. So the thing about it is that if nobody tells you that they love you today, I do. I will see you guys. I will see you guys around, and I will see you guys this Wednesday on the Headline Eye on Nerve DJs from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Talk to you guys soon. If nobody tells you that they love you today, I do.